Chapter 3. A Lost Past. Jin stood in the void. Before him was the same man with long black hair, bound by rusted heavy chains. His body trembled from exhaustion, as if his soul had been flayed, leaving behind only a shell of pain. Before he faded, the man whispered in a voice barely audible, "You survived. For now." Then, with what strength he had left, he pulled Jin into a fragile embrace and whispered, "Prepare yourself. A storm is coming, a storm that will drown all existence in chaos. My time is over. Good luck." His grip loosened, and his body turned to ash, as if erased from existence itself. Jin remained standing, frozen. Tears gathered in his eyes. A sharp pain tightened his chest like a vice. He did not know why. He did not understand what had just happened. But his heart mourned, as if something precious had been lost, something nameless, something he could not remember. "I carried your burden." The echo lingered, painful and tender. Then everything was swallowed and disappeared. Jin found himself in a pure white room with no shadows anywhere. When he lifted his eyes, he saw a breathtaking woman standing before him. Her hair flowed like silver silk, and her golden eyes shimmered with sacred light. A glowing lotus mark shone on her forehead, and her lips were dark red, eerie and surreal. Golden flowers drifted around her like dying suns, and her robe, the lotus light robe, shimmered with gentle sunlight. Her beauty was inhuman, neither seductive nor angelic, simply incomprehensible. Jin sat stiffly, taking a seat before the floating table, never taking his eyes off her. "Who are you?" he asked. She smiled softly, her voice calm like still water. "I am the creator of the novel you just destroyed." Jin's expression shifted. Rage exploded inside him. He tried to flip the table, strike her, anything. In that moment, Jin was willing to do whatever it took to avenge himself. But nothing moved, not even his own body. His furious scream echoed, "Damn you, you brainwashed everyone. You tortured me. You turned my whole life into a lie." The woman laughed, a musical, terrifying laugh that echoed through the white void. "How was the experience, Jin?" she whispered mockingly. "9 years inside my illusion. Did you enjoy your little tragedy? You were my favorite experiment." Something inside Jin's soul cracked. His gaze emptied like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Still smiling wickedly, she raised her hand and formed a strange gesture with her fingers. Lumintra. At that moment, his chair vanished. Jin slammed onto the ground. Pain exploded through his spine and skull, but he could not scream. He could not move. She approached him, sat beside him, and touched his forehead with one finger. His face hit the floor again. She leaned closer and whispered, "I will not kill you, not yet. You are still useful." She clapped her hands, and the world shattered. In a heartbeat, Jin gasped and woke up. "Damn it, my head is spinning. Ah, where did that damn woman go? What are these scattered thoughts?" Jin's head throbbed, but all of that vanished as soon as he saw the massive disaster that had befallen him. He stared into the cracked mirror before him, studying his reflection with eyes full of confusion. His brown hair was gone, replaced by glossy black. His once fair skin had turned pale. His brown eyes had vanished, replaced by dark eyes that stared unsettlingly. His face, once handsome, had become unnaturally beautiful, with disturbingly refined features. His body was tall and slender, wearing faded gray servant clothes that barely provided warmth in the freezing cold. Ha! Ha! Slap! Jin hit himself across the face, leaving his skin red. "Wake up! Wake up!" This was not a dream. Damn it! Damn it! No matter how much he hit himself, he could not wake up. This was the beginning of the mental shock crashing down on him. Anyone else would celebrate reincarnating. But that trash he read, only he knew how miserable this world truly was. Damn it. Damn it. Jin calmed himself and began taking slow breaths. Cold air entered his lungs and left, cooling his nerves and calming him from the disaster he fell into. Each breath turned to white mist that faded away. He took another look at the mirror, and now he was 100% sure his instinct was right. He had reincarnated into the body of that servant called Lin. Jin took a deep breath, trying to grasp what had happened. He was now 13 years old, trapped in the body of a boy with no strength or status. He steadied himself and looked around. His instincts awakened the part of him trained to adapt to any problem around him. He was in a small, ice-cold room barely large enough for two people. Stone walls coated with a thin layer of frost that clung to everything. A narrow window let in a cold draft that made the room feel like a tomb. Two wooden beds with worn blankets and an old cabinet that looked like it had survived a war. Even the mirror was half frozen, the cold spreading across its surface. Jin approached the window and looked outside. What he saw confirmed his worst fears. A wide training ground covered with a thin layer of frost, knights in gleaming white armor trained in perfect synchronization. On their chests shone the emblem of the frozen lotus. Each breath they exhaled sent pale mist dancing in the air. The sky was gray. The sun barely gave warmth in this frozen hell. "Damn it," he whispered, gripping the icy window frame. He had landed in frost territory, the kingdom of ice mages, masters of water and frost, a people renowned for their ruthless ambition. And the worst of all, they were women driven to madness. Damn, I am in big trouble. Jin tried to calm his mind amidst all the insane things happening to him, his lifelong dream, the novel that brainwashed everyone. The disappearance of most manhwas, animes, and movies from his world after that cursed webtoon appeared. And now this new body. What did that woman want from him? And why was he adopted without knowing anything about it? Questions kept appearing one after another, but he did not realize things would get far worse. As if things could get any worse. Jin let out a laugh born of utter misery, facing the worst possible outcome. He murmured to himself, "It can't get any worse." Then a cold voice suddenly echoed in his mind, as if confirming all his dark thoughts. System. Failed to transfer host into female body. Due to soul rejection, host was bound to the servant Lin instead. Jin froze. "Wait, what? You tried to make me a girl?" "Ah!" Jin burst into bitter, mocking laughter that echoed through the silent room. "So that was the original plan? Reincarnate me as a girl? Screw you." But the system did not let him breathe. System. Host soul is currently bound to the system. Failure to complete missions will result in self-destruction. Jin's breath caught in his chest. His angry scream erupted. "Self-destruction! What kind of sick system is this?" "This is not reincarnation. It is an execution sentence." Jin inhaled deeply, trying to calm himself while clinging to the tiniest sliver of hope. There had to be something good in this mess. Right? Yes. There was one thing. He remembered this servant. At least he had not been reborn as an ordinary person or a girl. This body carried the legacy of an ancient bloodline, the Noctarian clan. And that meant one thing. He still had a chance to survive, maybe even turn this world upside down. Jin scratched his head, trying to recall the information from that cursed webtoon. Nothing made sense. Not the power system, not the character endings. He never understood how people were obsessed with that trash, endless volumes, stories that stopped halfway. All he remembered were names of some treasures, a few characters, basic techniques, and knowledge of who to avoid. But he began to feel his mind erasing those memories. He had always sensed something was slowly wiping what he remembered, yet he never knew why. And whenever he tried summarizing the webtoon, he lost the information even faster. "All right, focus. Enough drifting. Now, about the world he fell into. As far as he could remember, the story was divided into 5 worlds. 1. The world of magic and mana. 2. The world of Murim. 3. The world of Hunters. 4. The celestial world, a legendary civilization like ancient Egypt. 5. The immortal world, cultivators. The first seal of the immortal world would break in 5 years, causing the magic world to merge with the martial world and the hunter world to collide with the celestial world. And in 15 years, the immortal world would fully awaken. In other words, he had 5 years to prepare, 5 years to survive, 5 years to escape. His priority was clear now. He had to awaken his bloodline before anyone discovered who or what he was. Because if the Frost family found out, he would die. Damn it, I need information. I found it. Jin remembered that every noble family had a unique library. Surely the Frost family had one too. But the problem? They would never let him enter so easily. Jin strained his mind to come up with a plan, but the slow creak of the door interrupted him. A girl entered, worry covering her face. "Lin, are you okay? I heard you screaming." Jin turned quickly to face her, trying to appear calm. As he looked to see who was calling him, he saw a girl with soft brown hair and brown eyes, her oval face gentle. It was Camellia. She was the one who grew up with Lin, the person who cared for him since he was a baby. In other words, the person who knew him best in this mansion, which made her dangerous. He could not let her suspect anything. Jin placed a hand on his head and spoke tiredly. "I am fine, just a headache, sis." She looked unconvinced but did not press further. Instead, she asked, "Did you finish cleaning Lady Frostia's room?" Jin froze. Where was that room again? She frowned at his hesitation. "What is wrong with you today? Did any girl hit you again today?" "Damn it, I cannot expose myself this fast." Jin took a deep breath and muttered, "What are you saying, sister? Of course I am going now." He grabbed the broom tightly and crept up to the 3rd floor, his mind a chaotic mess of thoughts and priorities. The library. He had to get in, no matter what. How could he become strong? And how could he escape this place before anyone suspected he was more than he seemed? So many questions, so few answers. And so, Jin began to slip into his new identity, a mask for survival in this cursed world, as Lin.